Okay, I've started recording also. So the resource section, you have 6 things that you should be doing. So we're going to talk about them in more detail, how to plan for the resource management, estimate the activities. So that is under planning, obviously. Planning and estimating any activities are under planning. Under executing, you get the human resources and also material and equipment. And then you have to develop the team and manage the team. And then you control resources. So we'll talk about those in detail in the next slides. So under here, I know it's very small, it's hard to see, but the purpose here is these 6 things we will talk in more detail. Each of them has an ITO. So ITO is input, tools and techniques, and outputs. So all of them have inputs, tools and techniques, and output. So each of these we'll be talking about in more detail. So the concept here for resource is that the project manager must lead and manage the project team. So as we mentioned, you're not supposed to be doing all the work yourself. You have a team, you have people on the team who will be doing various activities, and you have to be able to manage the team. So teams are affected by team environment. So it depends on the environment of the team. That is it a team of classmates? If it is your own classmates, the environment will be different. If it is engineers, it's different. So it depends on the breakdown of the people, what their background is, what their education is. Based on that, you have different team environments. And now with geographical locations, there's many different people all over. The team can be all over the world now, right? So it's not necessarily that's all going to be within one area. So you can have different geographical location of the team members. You need to communicate with them. Sometimes there's a language difference. You may have to translate your documents into different languages. You may need to have a translator. You may need to, so the communication is also very important, and you have to see sometimes language difference, time difference when you're meeting with them. There's a lot of politics for internal and external also politics. And then physical resource management is allocating and using physical resources such as material, equipment, and supplies in an efficient and effective manner. So that is the purpose of the physical resources. So that is you're getting material or equipment. You want it to come, or you want it to be available, timely availability. If you're going to use an existing machine, you may need to do some trials. And when you're doing trials, then you have to see, is that machine available or not? If you're going to use it, then there will be a reduction in the normal production. So what impact is there on the production? So the quality of the physical resources. So if it's food material, food raw material, you need to make sure that you have enough quality, enough material, and also the quality is good. So you may need to do some testing. And of course, make sure you reduce the cost, reduce the waste. So the 2 things here you can see, one thing is about the team management, other thing is about the material and equipment. So that is the concept of resource management, and those are within the company already. So we'll talk about the first one in more detail. So the first one is, again, you have input, tools, and techniques, and outputs, right? So in the input, in order to manage the resources, you need to have the scope baseline. So does everyone remember what is the scope baseline? Okay, who wants to tell me what is the scope baseline? Yes, guys. Anyone want to tell me what are 3 things in the scope baseline?
And WBS dictionary.
Yes. Yes,
And
thanks, Ravi. What else? WBS dictionary, you said. So anybody else want to help him? Yes, what else? WBS dictionary, you said. What about the WBS? That also, right?
WBS and the scope statement.
Yes, perfect, good. Scope statement. So in the scope statement, you're saying this is the work I have to do. In the WBS, you're breaking it down into different categories and you're dividing it, giving it to different people who are going to be working on it. And then you have um, the dictionary, which will give more detail about those actual activities that they have to do. So that's right, perfect. So that gives you an idea. Now you know the work you have to do. And for that work, you can have an idea, how many people do I need? How much material do I need? How much raw material do I need? So all that is planned. So you can only plan if you have that input. Same with charter, you need to have the project charter ready. You need to have a quality management plan and risk register. So risk register is saying this may go wrong, that may go wrong. What can be problem for my project? That is a risk. So we'll talk about later. Risk register is a list of all the risks, everything that can go bad in the project. You want to make a list of them, think, and maybe based on your experience or based on other projects, what can go wrong? And if they do go wrong, what will you do? So you may need to set aside some material or people or something available. So for example, now we have the coronavirus issue. So as you know, personal protective equipment is very important, mask, gloves, sanitizer. So that could be material. You need to keep that available in case there is a pandemic. You have that available. Maybe you want to stock it up in some place and keep it available. So that then you need to plan for that resource. So the risk register is an important also input. These all will give you an idea, these documents, about what you're doing, what can go wrong, and how you will plan for it accordingly, right? So then the tools and techniques are based on what are you going to use to plan. So you can use, I'll show you what a RACI is, a responsibility assignment metrics. And then there's different outputs you can do, which could be resource management plan. So we'll talk about that. So this is a tool and technique, TNT, the resource breakdown structure, RBS. It is a type of RAM, responsibility assignment metrics, the one that we talked about here, the responsibility assignment metrics. That is what we're talking about here. So the RAM is actually, oh, I didn't talk about emerging. Okay, anyways, I'll come back to that. So the responsibility assignment metrics, RAM, shows the responsibility, the project resources assigned to each work package. So the RACI shows you here, you can see a list of activities. These are things to be done. What are you doing in the project? Those are your activities here. And you have a list of the people here. Who are the people, right? And based on that, you have to tell, so this activity, who is accountable, who is responsible? I is for inform and C is for consult. So you see here it's very little, I know, sorry. But R is for responsible, A is accountable, C is consult, I is inform. So responsible and accountable, a little bit two different roles. You will tell responsible is who will do the work. Whoever will do the work, practically those who will be actually working on that activity, they are responsible for that activity. Accountable will be one person. So as you can see, there's a note there that makes sure accountable is one person. And that one person has to make sure that the work gets done, that activity gets done. If there's any problem, then that person who's accountable, they will have to make some adjustments. So what you're doing is, again, you're sort of delegating it to the different people. Who's going to do it? Responsible is who will do it. A is accountable. Then C is consult and inform. I is inform. C, consult, means anybody you are going to be so C is before you do the activity, you will consult that person. So before you actually take out the machinery, you may need to talk to engineering, you need to talk to other departments. So you have to consult those people or that department and before you do the work. And I, as you inform them after you do the work. So after you complete the work, you have to tell them that I've done this, I've taken out this machine, or we've installed a new one, or we developed this new plan. So that is an inform. You don't want their feedback, you just want to tell them. Consult is you need their input or their ideas before you start the work, right? So this RACI chart is a useful breakdown, it shows very clearly. So if some activity is not done, you may ask the people responsible, but more responsible is the accountable person. They should be aware if that activity is done or not. In large projects, as you know, there's maybe 100 different activities, 200 activities. So you as a project manager cannot keep control of all of them. You have to focus on the main ones, the critical ones, and the other ones you have people who are accountable to make sure that those activities are done right way and the right time. So this is the resource breakdown structure. So before I go to 9.2, actually, okay, I'll talk about that later. So 9.1 was planning, which was you plan your resource management using this here planning, like how many. So this gives you an idea how many people you need also for each activity and for the whole project. Then 9.2 is estimate the resources. So under estimate resources, we have different input here. We have got the, again, scope baseline, the activity list, and the cost estimates and risk register. So similar. So one is, of course, you're planning for it. You're thinking how much resources do I need? And the second is you are actually here estimating. And you should remember the tools and techniques: expert judgment, bottom-up, analogous, parametric. You should remember from cost and from schedule, those are the same tools and techniques we use here also. So in order to estimate the resources, as you can see here, tools and techniques are here: bottom-up estimating, analogous, parametric, expert rating. Yes, who wants to tell me what is bottom-up estimating? Yes, who came late? Whoever comes late, I'm going to ask you a question. Yes, Dhruv. Yes, are you there, Dhruv? Okay, anyone else who is listening? I need somebody to tell me what is bottom up, one person, another person, what is analogous, what is parametric, what is expert. You guys got great marks on your quizzes, right? So you should know this. Yes, anybody? Abhishek, can you tell me what one of those are?
Pardon me?
Sorry?
If you and I are talking.
Okay, so maybe you're sitting in a noisy place, maybe. Rosemary, you want to tell me what one of those four items are? Yes, Rosemary. Akil. Okay, are you guys listening? Okay, I need to see a thumbs up. Who's listening? Show me thumbs up on your from reactions. Rangolia, Maswaran, Varun. No one else is listening. Ravi, Abhishek, Simranjeet, Vijan, Robin. So Pranav, are you there? Akhil, Rosemary, Sumarshi. So I mean, if you're not listening, then it's just useless. You're wasting your money. You paid for this, course, and if you're not listening, if you're not contributing, then really, I don't know, like you like to waste your money, that's fine. So please, guys, you need to be attentive. I can't see what you're doing there, and I know, but same thing in class, you're expected to be actively, it's not just me talking, you need to be involved in the classes. And if I'm asking a question, I need you to please answer. So who wants to tell me any of those? What is analogous? What is parametric? What is expert rating? Expert.
I can try, sir.
Yes.
So in bottom up estimating, I think you take a work breakdown sheet and you start at the
Yes.
lowest level of the work breakdown sheet and you work your way up, estimating the cost.
Yes.
So you end
That's
up with
right.
a approximate
Perfect.
total for the whole project.
Yes, great. Yeah, so you go to the lowest level of the WBS and you add it up. So same thing here, estimate resources, you will go down to the latest. You can go down to the resource breakdown structure here and add up all those resources, and then you can see what you need. Yes, good. And then what is analogous estimating?
In that, from the past projects, you can collect the data and estimate all everything from the all past
Yes.
successful projects.
Past successful similar projects, those which are similar.
Yeah.
Same objective, same activity. Yes, good, great. What is parametric? What is parametric?
Parametrics, I think, I'm not really sure about this. I think so. If it takes, 10 hours to cut down 10 trees, then it would be logical to say it will take 6 hours to cut down 6 trees. So
Okay,
I
yes,
think,
good, yeah. Yes, so you're right, yeah. So parametric, you're using calculation or estimating, you're measuring something, you're doing some estimating with calculation using statistics. So that is parametric. Yes, right, perfect. And then expert judgment, simply you have somebody who has done a lot of similar projects, you ask that person, or they will give you an idea, just like if you want to renovate a portion of your home, your basement, you will call somebody, they will look at it and they will give you an estimate. And because they've done a lot of similar projects, they can give you the right estimate. So that is the expert judgment. Resource management plan and the scope. So this is, we already talked about that. So cost estimates. So in order to estimate the resources, these are the main tools and techniques you will use, right? So this is the RBS. So RBS is resource breakdown structure. So remember WBS. So WBS is work breakdown structure. In WBS, you look at and see what is the work I'm going to do, and you break it down into different categories. In this case, this is sample RBS, you are going to actually break down the project into people, how many people we need, how much material we need, and what equipment we need. So you just break down the personnel, maybe different roles, different activities they are doing, right? Based on that, you would break down your how many people do I need for these different activities. Same way, material, how much material I need, and do I need grade A, B, C? What is the grade I need? And then equipment, how many equipment I need? 1, 2, 3. How many equipment I need? Right. So this RBS is similar to the WBS, but don't confuse it. WBS is only for the work, and the RBS is for resources, of course. So resources are men, material, and equipment. So 9.3 is acquire resources. You are going to get the resources. And in order to get the resources, you need to have certain, so this is, for example, these are all internal. You don't need to buy from outside. So it's just a matter of understanding where they are, getting them available, and using them. So these are you can go through those inputs, allow them to repeat the tools and technique and outputs. So 9.4 and 9.5 is more important. I think these are like, developing the team. So for the team, when you have people on your team, as you know, in the team, it's very difficult to keep everyone performing at the highest level. So you can enhance or improve the project performance by actually improving the teamwork. So the way to improve the teamwork, what are things you can do is to enhance the interpersonal skills, make people more trained, more knowledgeable about doing the work, keep people motivated, and improve the project performance. So these are all your develop team aspects that you need to develop the team. And how do you do that? You use soft skills, leadership, negotiation, conflict resolution, communication. So you might have discussed these things in your quality and also Lean Six Sigma about team development. So in the team, the leader has to have a certain um, understanding about all of their team members. He should be or she should be able to negotiate with them. And if there's any conflict, resolve the conflict also, and establish a good communication channel. Establishing ground rules is, for example, for meetings, they decide on the meeting what are the ground rules. So, for example, in the meeting, nobody's going to be using cell phone. So that could be a ground rule. In the meeting, everyone should be on time, and we are going to stick to the agenda. If anything is outside of the agenda, we will put it aside for discussion later on. Then, so these are the objective. These are like the ground rules for doing the work. Motivating. you need to motivate them through, for example, again, giving rewards, giving recognition, team building activities. So you might have seen a lot of teams, they go to different places together and they have different activities. They even problem solving activities, or even they have fun together. They go out on a trip together, and this way, and they have to do, like, for example, climb a very difficult hill or something. So with the team, it shows who's helping other people, how cooperative people are. So in this way, they have a team building activities. There's lots of training also done. You need to upgrade. Some people are new, they're just joining, they don't know what to do. Other people may be just new to the job, maybe students just graduating. So they need training. And then reward is, of course, different ways. You can give money rewards, like Tim Hortons card, or you can also ask, you can also give other reward certificates. Performance assessments are those who at the year end you review how they did on the project, what did they do good, what did they not do good. So that is the performance assessment. So in this way you develop the team. So those who are doing a good job, they are rewarded. Those who are having trouble, they may need training, they may be reallocated, maybe the responsibility changes. So this way you develop the team to make sure that they are meeting the objectives. So this team stages of development. So Bruce Tuckman's ladder of team development. It maybe you read about these before. There's forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. So these are different levels of team development. First of all, we have forming. Forming is you bring together different people. Teams, they collect together, they establish the ground rules, formalities are preserved, and members are treated as strangers. So initially when you bring people together, they're not sure who is this other person. They're not very frank, just like when you meet somebody first time, you're very like, you're not sure what personality they are. So in the forming, the members are treated as strangers. And then in storming initially, so you tell them, okay, this is our team and we have to do work together and this is our objective. So they still think of themselves as individual, and they resist control by the group leaders and show hostility. So in the initial, many times you'll find in teams, there's a lot of conflict. There are people who don't agree. They are not getting together along. And so you're having trouble. And that is normal. But if they stay at that level, then you will see that the performance of the team goes down because of this politics, because of this storming, because people have their own objectives. They don't see the common goals. So they just continue to work on their own and they don't cooperate with others. Norming is people feel part of the team and they realize they can achieve work if they accept others' viewpoints. So in norming, everybody starts thinking, okay, if I listen to this guy, maybe he's telling, what he's saying is correct. The way to do the work is maybe makes sense. You follow along with it, you agree to it. So they start to agreeing with each others' viewpoints. They adopt the other viewpoints, and they provide you can say, idea about overall about performing, right? So you see cooperation between the team members. They are now norming. And then performing is they all are working towards a common goal. Some of the team members may have trouble, others are helping them. There's an open atmosphere. And so people don't care if somebody is senior or junior in the team, they will help out each other. Doesn't matter, they will help in any way they can. So that is performing. And then adjourning, once they complete the task, they do the project, then the team will be, there will be like a celebration, and then people, like we said, usually in the team, remember, 2 or 3 people will be permanent and 2 or 3 people will be subject matter experts. They are coming from the operations, and they are actually they are the ones who are going to be working with you temporary. And then after some time, they will go back to their original work. They will go back to that work and they will be working in that activity now that they were doing before. And of course, the ones who did a good job, you will want to recognize them in a journey. So these are the different stages where you see teams developing, right? Some teams are just stuck in storming. If there's a lot of conflict, people don't agree, and they're not making decisions, they're not making agreements, they're not doing the work, then you're in trouble. Then your project is in trouble, right? You can't do anything alone. You need the help of the team. So these stages are there. Any question about these? Okay, 9.5 is manage team. So under manage team, you will actually work with the teams to actually undertake different activities. For example, you will use conflict management. We'll talk about this in more detail a little bit next slides. Decision making, emotional intelligence, influencing, leadership, right? And then, so now with the team, there's bound to be some conflict. Some people don't agree with what to do. There's always going to be conflict. So we'll talk about how do you manage those, so tools and techniques. Then there's outputs. Outputs are of this managed team as you have project management plan updates. So you may need to update, remember your schedule, your cost baseline, your resource management plan. Those may need to be updated. So in this, we were talking about conflict management. So how can you manage the conflict between the team members? You need to see how serious is the conflict. What is the importance and intensity of the conflict? How, if that conflict stays there, is it going to affect your project? Maybe it's just some small, personality issue, or is it something which is critical? So the factors influencing conflict is that you have to understand how important is it? Is there a time pressure for solving conflict? Do you need to complete the or fix the conflict within a certain time period? What is the relative power of the people involved? So who are the people who, so are they senior level people? Is it lower level people? What is the situation of the power of the people? So you need to, of course, remind them about the importance of maintaining a good relationship and motivation to resolve conflict on a long-term or short-term basis. So you should have the motivation to resolve this. So it's not just short-term, it should be more long-term. So, or maybe you have to see if there's like some conflict that starts out at the end of the project is going to finish anyways, you don't really care about it, everything is mostly done. So it depends on the situation also. So for conflict management, these are different techniques, how to reduce conflict, right? So first of all is withdraw or avoid. If two people are not agreeing on something, it comes to your notice, you retreat from it. You say, okay, you know what, let's postpone the issue. You don't solve anything. You say, okay, we'll talk about this later. Right now, we need to talk about something else. So you postpone the issue. Maybe then over time, sometimes, the conflict, it becomes better. So that is one way. Or you set up another committee. Okay, I'm going to have somebody else look into this. Someone else will be looking into it. And so that way you postpone the issue, and then you can be, or maybe you're not sure about the conflict. You can't really say who is right, who is wrong. It should not be like so you're basically avoiding it. You want to be more prepared to discuss the issue later on. So that is withdraw or avoid. Smooth or accommodate is you talk to the people, understand their point of view, look at the common ground, say that you both are agreeing on this, right? So let's try to work together in good relationship, with harmony, and with good relationship. So that is smoothing or accommodating. So you are smoothing or accommodating the conflict. Compromise. Compromise is called like a lose-lose situation. So searching for solutions that bring around some degree of satisfaction in order to temporarily or partially resolve the conflict. So compromise, okay, you're right and you're right, but I'm not going to agree to either of you. We're going to do something which is temporary. We're going to partially resolve the conflict. So it's not a permanent fix. You're going to say, okay, later on we'll do something to address both of your concerns, but right now this is what we're doing. So that is a compromise, right? Force direct is pushing one's viewpoint at the expense of others. So this is more for, of course, if they're a senior person and they just want the job to be done, they're going to say, I don't care what your thoughts are. This is what we have to do. You just enforce it. This is more through power. It's more for emergency. And this is a win-lose situation. So examples there, now the rule laws, you have to wear masks. You have to wear masks in public area. So that's a force that's from the top, from the, of course, provincial government, and you have to follow it whether you like it or not. And it is enforced through power, position, and so this approach often results in a win-lose situation. If people understand the benefit, they will be happy to wear it, but if they're not, then they have to be forced to do it. There will be fine if they don't. There will be, problems if they don't wear it. So that is more force or direct. And then you have collaborate or problem solve. This is more desirable. You want to sit together with different people. You want to incorporate their different viewpoints, and you want to understand their perspectives, have a discussion, and try to find a common ground. That, of course, it's more lengthier, more time consuming. You have to listen to both sides. You have to find a win-win solution. You have to collaborate. It takes more time and effort to do collaborative problem solving, but that's probably going to be the better option, right? It's probably going to be a better idea to do that than the other ones. So these are the 5 management techniques. Okay, before I go on, it's 12:45. All right, let's take a 10-15 minute break. We'll start again at 1. I just need about half an hour more. We're probably going to finish at 1:30. So let's come back again after a break, and then we can continue. Let's join up around 1 o'clock. Okay, guys? Let me pause the recording. Okay, so then we'll start again. Let me pause the recording. So this is how we talked about how you manage conflict in the team, in the resources. Next is 9.6 is control resources. In here, what you're doing is you're making sure that the resources are properly being used, right? So these are the ITOs for it. Again, most of these, what the inputs are, and tools and techniques. Here you will use different cost benefit analysis, performance reviews. This is to make sure you're using the resources properly. If your cost is more than it should be, you're not managing your resources properly. So, here the major cost is human resources. So you have to make sure people are not idle. They're not, sitting and doing nothing. You don't want to pay them for free. You also don't want to put extra pressure on somebody and then their performance will go down. So that's managing that. And same thing with the material and equipment. You have to manage the expenses for those also. So control resources here, you do that through work performance information. What is work performance information? So same thing. So you probably know when you go to your part-time job, you have, time you plug in and then you swipe your card to go in, you log in and then you log out. So that is, and then what work you did. So in one day, suppose if you're working at Tim Hortons or working at McDonald's, how many burgers did you sell? How many French fries did you sell? How much sales did you do? And how many people did you have, right? Now also, like I go to the grocery store and there's 10 outlets and only 6 people are working there, 4 empty, and there's a long lineup now. They have one by one person going for the checkout. And so that way it creates inefficiency. It's a waste of time for us, and it's also waste of resources for the company, where some people will not even come in. Oh, there's a long lineup, I'm not going to be buying here now. Some people may not even come in for that. And somebody who has only 2-3 things to buy, somebody has a lot more things to buy, they will be they're in the same lineup. So managing resources properly is very important. Otherwise, you will be wasting your material and other things. In the team, leadership is very important for managing the team. So under here, the best style depends on situation of the people being influenced. So this theory was given by two people, Hershey and Blanchard. It's about leadership. That is, how do different people lead? How do they manage the team? And so they're saying it's a two-factor model. One is based on leadership behavior, and other is the task behavior. So they said there's their theory that there's 4 styles of leadership. Mainly people are one of the 4 when they're talking about leadership. So first is telling, directive and authoritative. This is like, in the army, there's colonel, there's major. They are going to be directing the lower staff. We need to go here. We need to do this. We need to, and even if there's danger, the people who are under them, they still will go ahead and follow directions. Yes, we have to do this. We have to go and attack. They will do it. So that is telling. They don't question, oh, is it safe? Oh, can I get hurt? They won't be questioning that, right? So this is just leadership style, mainly in like the army, and in some companies, it is just directive. It is authoritative. So selling is the leader persuades the follower to follow his decision. So selling is you're telling them the benefit. If you do this, this is really going to be very beneficial. If we change this machinery, it's going to be very, we'll have more production. We'll get more production. We'll get more sales. Maybe we'll get a bonus if there's more sales. So you're selling them on the idea. You're giving them the benefit that, okay, if you do this, this is what you will get if you cooperate, if you help, if you are, trying to do this in the best way. So you're selling them, persuading them to follow the leader. So that is the selling style. Then there's participating. Participating is the leader works with the follower together to make the decision. In participating, the leader will be talking with their juniors and discussing with them, okay, we need to do this task. We need to set this up. How do you think we should do it? Do you think we should do it this way, or do you think we should do it that way? Right? So that is participating. So the leader works with the followers to make a decision, right? So that is the participating one. And then delegation. Delegation is you give the teams the work to do, and you leave them alone. You just tell them, okay, this is your task, and after like maybe 4 or 5 days, give me a report, tell me what you did, and this is what you need to do. So you just give them the task, and it's you delegate it to them. And of course, they should be competent. They should be able to do it on their own. And that way, that is delegation. Okay. So most of you are working at, Walmart or maybe Tim Hortons or other places, other companies. Can anyone tell me, let me, of course, say the name of your boss, but your boss, do you think, what is their style? Do you think it is telling? Is it selling? Is it participating? Is it delegation? What type of boss or leader do you have in your company that you directly deal with? What do you think? Yes. Anybody want to tell me what type of leader do they have in their workplace?
Usually a telling leader, sir.
Usually telling. Okay, so in your place, it's just telling. They just come and tell you, this is what you have to do, and let's get it done. That's it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? So may I ask, which area? What do you work in, Maswaran?
I worked in a factory, sir. They used to make automotive parts.
Automotive park. Okay, so The leader would just tell you, we need to do so much production today, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yes, anyone else? Any other style of leader? Anybody want to share their leader or boss or their manager? What do you think is their leadership style? Yes, anybody else working also? So I mean, yeah. So you'll find that different people have different leadership styles. So now we're gonna. So this is the leadership styles, and their theory also. Yeah, sorry. Here we go. Their theory also is that there are 4 levels of follower maturity. Okay, so they think that overall that there are different types of let me just see if I can find this a little more detail. So this here they're saying there's 4 levels: level M1, M2, M3, and M4. Okay, 4 levels of the follower maturity. Okay, and based on that, they said that it's possible that that there will be. Okay, so this is what they're saying here. Yes. So there's M1, M2, M3, M4. M1 are followers which have low competency, which are very, they don't know what they're doing, and so they're not trained, and they have low commitment, right? So that is their like M1, which are which they need to be supported, right? Then there's M2. Those followers have low confidence. Well, it's actually should be low competence. They have low confidence also because they have low competence and confidence, but high commitment. So M2 are those types. Then M3 are the followers which have high competency but low commitment. So they are the ones which are, again, not very so they have high competence but they're not committed. They don't see the benefit of this project or of the activity. And then M4 are those followers which have high competence and high commitment. So they are the M4s. Now they're saying that mainly people fall into one of those 4 categories, and based on that, then you need to use different levels of maturity level. Based on that, you use the different types of leadership styles. So M1 are those people who have low competence and low commitment. For them, usually the leaders will use telling. So if somebody is not trained or they are not committed, you just tell them this is what you have to do. M2 is selling. For selling, you have followers of low confidence but high commitment. So if the followers are low competence and high commitment, then you can use selling. Then you can get them committed. You can get them understanding the benefit, and then they will undertake the activity. And M3 is participating. So participating is those which have high competence and low commitment. So they know what to do. They understand the process. They understand what activity, but they don't see the, how to do it or what the benefit is. So for them, participating is good, that they sit together and they are going to discuss about the different activities, right? And the M4s, those ones, delegating is a good idea. So if your people, they are they're highly competent, they know what they're doing, they know how to do it, then based on that, it's a good idea that you delegate the authority to them. Just let them do. Sometimes telling and delegating is similar. Like, I mean, it maybe suppose that they just give you the work to do, they tell you, and they're delegating it to you. They let you do it on your own because if you have high competence, right? But telling is more in terms of they give you full detail about all the activities to be done, right? So these are the different leadership styles, and it depends on who is following them, right? If they are following those or not. So next we're talking about influencing. So influencing is, so project managers have little authority over team members. So many times in the project, you're not able to really go through overall the, yes, you cannot really go through it in more detail, right? So yeah, actually, I'm just looking here. This is good also. Let me show you this also. I think I want to show you. This is good. I'm going to put this link also. This is a little more about that, so you can see the different situational theories like we just mentioned about leadership styles. I think this is a good summary here. So you guys see the screen, right? Hershey and Blanchard, situational theory, leadership. So telling, selling, participating, delegating, right? So telling is directive, authoritative approach. The leader makes the decisions and tells employees what to do. That is telling. Selling is you communicate and persuade them rather than just, simply directing them. And then in participating, what you're doing is the leader works with the team and they make the decision together and they support them. And delegating is you assign the decision making to the team, but they oversee the work still, but they delegate it. So there's these so M1 we said, M2, M3, and M4. So here you have low competence and low commitment. Here, low and high, high and low, and high and high. So he said these ones. This is what. So this is the summary. I think this is a good summary. I'll put that in your notes also. So for M1, you're going to use telling. For M2, you use selling. M3, use participating. M4, use delegating. Right? So this is the concept that we're talking about. All right. So let's come back to here. So the yes. Any questions so far? Okay, good. So under influencing, we have project managers. They have little authority over the team members, but sometimes they need to. So how do you make people do what you want them to do, right? You need to have power. So the leader has to have power. If the leader doesn't have power, they may tell or they may delegate, but people don't listen to them. They don't care. They're not going to do the work, right? Just like if your colleague tells you to do something or someone junior tells you, you're not going to maybe do it in the workplace because they don't have power, right? So there's different types of power for the leadership. One is legitimate power. One is power due to position. If there's a senior vice president or senior person in your company telling you what to do, you're going to listen and do it because that's legitimate power. So that is one way of influencing. And in your project also, remember we said you need to have support of the top management. Top management should be supporting your project by giving you resources, giving you full authority. So that is legitimate power. It's coming from the top and it trickles down to you. So you are doing the activity because you have legitimate power and you are telling people to do it and they will follow you. Reward power is you provide, you say, I'll give you a reward, I'll give you a pay increase, you'll get a bonus, for example. So this is an example of using reward power. People don't do what you tell them to do because of any other reason, then you are giving them a reward. They want that reward. So that is a reward power. Expert power is power that comes from proven skills and expertise. So if somebody has done a similar project, they've done the project, many times they've done similar projects. If they say something and they say we have to do it this way, they have expert power because people respect them because they have that knowledge and skill and expertise. So that is expert power. Then referent power is, this is the leader. Many leaders, they have, you might see top management people, they have a very nice personality. They have very, they dress very nicely all the time and they have a very, different way of handling things, the way they talk, the way they, their charisma is like personality, positive impression, right? So people admire and respect the leader because of those reasons. So that is referent power. That is the power that they are providing, which is due to their charisma or their personality. People admire them and people follow them, what they're saying. Then coercive power. So that is, used in schools and other places, sometimes punishment. So if you don't do this, you're going to be punished. Ability to punish the followers if they don't comply. So if they don't listen to what you're saying, so you can say, okay, if you guys don't do this, I'm going to report you guys, or I'm going to, so that's, leader can do that too also, but that is, not negative, but it is possible. They use that sometimes. That is coercive power, right? So this is making it, serious like that. Yes, just like I want you guys to be successful. If you're, attending class and studying hard, it's good. If you're getting good grades, but if you don't, then, ultimately, what is it? It's not in my hand, but I mean to say that obviously the power comes from actually, if the person is able to take away something from them, then it is coercive power. Then they can use coercive power to make people follow them, and that is more, again, an example maybe in some situation where they use that, could be army. If they don't do that, if they're told to give an orders and don't follow it, they'll be in trouble. Same thing in some companies, they may punish people if they don't follow along with what they're saying. That is coercive power. So the summary of the resource, before we go to summary, one slide we missed also back here, so we didn't talk about that. So when we're talking about the emerging, we were talking about resource management, there's a shift more towards from command and control towards empowerment. I think this ties into actually the leadership styles we're talking about. So like we said, in the leadership styles, there's different ways you can, manage people. And now there's not really, telling is not very common now. It's not used a lot in a company, that just this is what you have to do. And they don't listen to you. Even if you say, give a suggestion, they will usually listen to you and they want you to give suggestions. Usually it's more is towards empowerment and delegation of decisions. So there's a shift more towards giving people the, freedom to work on the activities, on their own. So that is more a shift. These are some emerging practices. One is resource management methods. So you probably know just in time. You maybe remember from quality. Just in time is you have ordered raw material, and it comes just when you need it, 1 day or 2 days before the production. Your raw material comes in. That is just in time, and then you use it, work in progress. Inventory is very little. You're controlling the value stream. You want to reduce the inventory in your value stream and make sure that there's no bottleneck. Theory of constraint is saying that the theory is that in your whole value chain, any activity which is going to take a long time, or it's going to be taking a lot of resources, that is your weakest link, and that is the output of the whole value chain. So that is theory of constraints, where you should try to keep it from, maintaining the proper understanding the value chain and understanding where there are, bottlenecks. That is the purpose of theory of constraints. And then Kaizen is continuous improvement. So you are continuously improving your overall, process by getting feedback from people. Just like you ask them, okay, how can we do better? Just like you probably had a survey in some classes for teachers' performance. So, and also how can we improve the course? So that is a continuous improvement where, you get feedback from the people and improve the process accordingly. So these are like modern ways of managing resources also. Emotional intelligence. So one is IQ. IQ is, knowledge. You know how to do a math question, you know how to do technical stuff, that is all IQ. Your English is really good, you can, understand. So this is, IQ, intelligence quotient. The emotional intelligence is you understand other people's emotions. Some people, at work, they may be upset because they have some personal problems. Other people, different personalities. Some people, are serious in their work. Others are just, wasting time. You understand their emotions, and you, deal with each of them in an appropriate way. And you change your emotions depending on other people's emotions. If someone is happy, you talk with them in a happy way. Someone is serious, you talk serious with them. Someone is, somebody likes to have jokes and all, you joke with them. Others don't like joking. So it depends on, so your actual activity is changing depending on the emotional level of your, either people who are listening to you or working with you. So that is emotional intelligence, and that is said to be very important now these days. Um, then there's self-organized teams, absence of centralized control. Like we said, it's not like there's one person, there's people reporting them, and another person. There's more teams are organized on their own, and they are working on projects on their own, and they just maybe weekly update information on a dashboard. They just tell what they've done, and that's about it. So there's very self-organized. Virtual teams are now the same way we're using Zoom. Other ways also people have distributed their teams with virtual teams, and this is due to globalization. So now worldwide, different teams are working all over the world, and they collaborate and they combine their knowledge and experience, and they are creating, as you probably heard, a lot of car makers also, they are very much, they are getting together accordingly, right? So, so this is also like the way it is now, like in terms of virtual teams also. So a lot of the virtual teams, they are undertaking activities worldwide, and you can do that now. A lot of things are digital. You might know also, like even all your design 3D, you can do all on the computer with different teams for different items. So this is now, these are emerging resource management practices, right? Then we have got, so that those are main things there, and just a summary here at the end. So the summary of this resource management knowledge area. There are 6 things we talked about. Plan is there. How are you going to estimate? How are you going to acquire, get the items, manage them, and utilize them? That is your planning. And then you're estimating. You estimate how many people do I need? How much raw material do I need? What machines do I need? And that is your estimating activity resources. So remember, you have the list of activities in your schedule, what activities to be done. So you estimate the resources you need. Acquire the resources, so you get the resources, you obtain the team members, the facilities, the equipment, the material, the supplies, and other resources necessary to complete the project work, right? So that is acquire resources. Then you have develop team, process of improving competencies, team member interaction, and overall team environment. So that is where we talked about, you develop the team accordingly, right? And then manage team is the process of tracking team member performance, providing feedback, resolving issues, managing team changes to optimize the project performance. That is where you're managing the team, developing them, training them, providing feedback, right? All those things you are providing them accordingly to manage the team. So the team is going to be undertaking those things, the situations. Okay, and then the control resources is the process of ensuring that the physical resources assigned and allocated are available as planned. There you're controlling. You don't want to use more. You don't want to hire 10 people and use only 4. You don't want to be tying up 4 machines and you only need 1 machine for the trial and production. So that is controlling resources, making sure you don't waste the resources, making sure they're allocated properly, and they are, and if there's any problem, you have some corrective action also, right? So this is the purpose of your control resources. So these were the 6 things here that we talked about. Any question on this? Yes, any question on resource management? So these are the 6 things. Of course, planning and estimating is under planning. Under executing, you have acquire, develop, manage the team. And then under monitoring, controlling, of course, you have control resources. Okay, so any question? So how's your case study coming along? Everybody working on that? Did you read the case study already? Yes, how's the experience with the case study going along? Has anybody started to read it? Yes, any question on the case study?
No, sir.
Okay, so did you read your case study? How do you find it? Is it interesting? So just a reminder about the next. So one is, yes, you need to work on your case study. That is one thing. And then also second thing is, you have a quiz coming up. So your homework is you need to study, right? Let me share with you. This is again, the lesson plan. So after the success week, we talked about quality management last week. This week we talked about project resource management. So please read through those things, read through the PMBOK also. Next week we're going to talk about risk management and communication. So these 4 things are going to be in your quiz. So we've done half the quiz items. So the quality, resource, risk, and communication. So the quiz will be in week 11. So week 11, we will do a little study about procurement, but procurement will not be in your quiz, of course. It's that they will review it. And then you have your online quiz also. So these 4, please, you need to be ready for the quiz. 2 we've covered already. Please read through those 2, quality and resource, and be prepared for that. And you should be working on your case study because the week after that, your case study is due on the week 12th, right? So please make sure you are managing your time accordingly. Very important, And then after that, we just read about closing the project, and that's it. Then you have your final exam. So yes, is everyone clear about expectations and what you should be doing? Any question about the resources and other stuff? Okay, so that was about all I had. It's 1:31. So please, the purpose of stopping early is not that you have a free time. I would suggest it's a good idea for you to please to go through this material. Let me stop. Okay, stop recording.